So it's recording. Yay. All right. So normally I have like, a few things that I want to share and I do, but I want to also take a pulse of where you guys are at and find out where you feel like you're hitting a wall, what you're feeling like you're needing. And then we can sort of speak to that and direct the flow of this conversation, towards what it is that you need. So who wants to be brave and say, this is where I'm getting stuck, or this is my hurdle? And then, of course, I will share with you what I've been thinking about. But I want to start with you guys. I think that's important. Who wants to be brave? Do you guys know how to raise your hand on here? Okay, there's a way to do it. Carrie, were you raising your hand? I saw you you were? What's up? Talk to me.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Where am I right now? I'm basically at the point where I have all these songs and I just have to get them recorded.
Okay.
And so over the past year, it's been a real roller coaster learning experience of attempting collaborations with a lot of people and basically having like a lot of non-successful collaborations. So, some of them amicable and some of them like,
oh, yeah.
Some of them.
Oh, I've had my juicy share of those, so I get it. Yeah.
And then recovering from the trauma and like dust myself off and try again. And then, I'm about to have my first fully produced song, working with, in the group, and super excited. It's not done yet. It's not like anything what I thought my first produced song would be. Like, it's not even a typical song that I've written.
Well, that's cool. You're stretching. Yeah.
And so it's all kind of a big surprise. And that was a very like emotional 2.5 months process. So my 31-day challenge song has taken 2.5 months. But
you did one. That's the best part. So that's awesome.
Yeah, my big hurdle, I think, is just it's so slow for me to get the recordings like built and even just to build out a demo and be like, here, I'm gonna send you this one and I'm gonna send you this one.
Yeah. So okay. So I feel like this is a sticking point for a lot of people. I mean, if you want to, say, well, Cathy, yeah, I'm doing it. I'm creating all this music. Then you need to have like that process down. You need to have a producer who gives you the time. And then, if you have if you have the heart and the will and you create all these dinner rolls, but you don't have the oven, then it leaves you with nothing. You can't serve it, right? And so you need the place to get it produced and created. You can't just take the raw materials. So I feel like we need to be extra resourceful with this and really think out of the box. And, I'm still there. I was going to say I was there. I'm still there. I'm always thinking about that question is who's the right person to produce it? What's the most efficient way to produce it? If I'm writing something for some show and I'm not sure it's going to be a thing, do I want to, pay for it, or do I want to find another way? By the way, you guys might see my 4-year-old because she's homesick today. And even though my nanny is here, she might pop in, but she's super cute. So you might see her. So the thing is, it's frustrating, but it doesn't have to be. There are so many artists right now who are so hungry, who just graduated from Belmont or Berkeley or Full Sail. I mean, there's hundreds of them from this year, and there's thousands of them over the last few years. And most of them don't, they're not all booked all the time. And I feel like you can offer so much because you can say, I'm in this program where I feel really inspired and I have some clear direction and I have access to people who run an agency and I get feedback. And, that's a lot. That's a lot to offer, where most people just offer the sort of like, hey, want to write a song?
It is. That was a really, like, going outside of the group, I felt like it was a mistake that I made at this point, though, because I expected them to understand.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes they don't. But what I think is, if you have a producer and they don't understand, but you show up with some really helpful homework and you say, this is exactly what I want. I mean, if somebody just graduated from Berkeley and they're in the recording program, and you say, I love these 3 songs, and here's a cheat sheet of what aspects I love about these 3 songs, they should be able to find synths that feel the same, or a groove. They should be able to know what the tempo is. Like these are like really simple things for somebody who's been cranking this stuff out. I think we need to help this person. And I think I might have shared this with you, but I had a record deal for like 5 minutes at Interscope, and Ron Fair was my producer, and I was there one night at Sunset Sounds when they were recording Lady Gaga's Paparazzi. And I watched him stand with his arms crossed in the back of a room telling people what to do without touching a mixing board. And I really thought about that for a second. Like, he's a producer who makes decisions, but he doesn't touch anything. And it's because a producer's job is to have a vision and to keep steering it, right? And so, and he's like the interior designer, right? He like comes up, but then there's the actual like architect who draws the blueprint. There's actually the engineer who presses the buttons. So you get to be the producer. You get to co-produce. You don't have to be a mixer. You don't have to be the engineer to be a producer. So you get to come to a producer and say, I have a vision. This is how I want to produce it. And here are all the things I want you to think about. And even though I'm producing it, I'm going to let you be the producer. I'm going to give you the credit, but I'm really going to help you produce it. And so we have to take responsibility and therefore come up with the vision. So we, I just posted on Instagram, what did I say? Plan backwards, hustle forwards. Like begin with the end in mind and then move forward. And so everything is about strategizing and being smart instead of like hitting your head against the wall. So we need to think of ourselves as a producer and say, I have to come in with what I need. I can't just hope that this person's going to get it, because they might not. If they haven't had the luxury of spending the time and the smarts like you have to be like doing all this research and you're like, no, it doesn't sound like that. It sounds like this. They might not know. But if you come in and you say, here's a Matt and Kim reference, here's a reference from Miko, here's a reference from, I don't know, the Squid and the Whale, and they all had these ads, and they all have this in common, and then they have this in common. And here's the kinds of things that they have aesthetically. This one is more moody, and this one has gang vocals, and this one has a lot of wood instruments, so it sounds really like earthy and acoustic and real, and that's what I want. So then instead of just playing a drum kit, he might just open up a box of different percussive instruments and lay down a bed of that, and that might change everything because you gave him that to start with, and he sort of got the heartbeat of what it is and the texture of what it is. So if we bring that with us, I've seen it in my own life that as long as someone's a decent engineer, right, with a basic laptop and a Pro Tools or whatever they're going to use, they should be able to help match what it is that you've got to communicate it, specifically. So it's our job to do this research and then be like, here's what I mean. And then it's all been done. Everything's been done, right? It's like, how many people have been quoted as everybody says it's this person who said it. People say it's this. People say John Lennon said it. People say Elton John said it. But this quote, mediocre artists borrow from other artists and great artists steal from other artists. And it's like, it's just true. Like, God forbid you want to steal somebody's lyrics or melodies. Like, that's just the dumbest thing. Like, it just doesn't feel good and you get sued. But in terms of stealing, like, the vibe and like the overall ideas, or going, oh, I never thought about using a cello, I'm doing that. Like, that's smart, because if you sat down with this ad agency, they're going to tell you that anyway. They're going to say what really works for our spots is this kind of feel. We like to start with piano. It really works. So it's like you're just learning what it is that they've already executed that they need. So I think that we have more options than we think. And the reason I'm talking about newly minted students who are now graduates is because they have a lot more flexibility in terms of what you can pay them. Okay, so you can show up and say, I don't have money to pay you, but I want to work with you a lot. And if you're great, I'm going to do like my Yelp review and tell my whole course to use you. And if you're great and you and I get into a rhythm because I'm super enthusiastic and I'm going to show up and not sleep till noon and then not know what to write about, I'm going to be really respectful of your time. And so I'm going to give you a shot. And then you sort of look at it like you're auditioning them, like it's an opportunity. And then you say this to 4 or 5 people, and maybe you give them each the same song and you see who does the best job. Or you give each one a different song and you go, all right, well, and you let them all know, I have so much going on. I have my fingers on the pulse of exactly how to navigate this business. Now I just need these songs done. And I'm sort of trying to find the right people. And whoever's the right fit, I think we're going to be in this for a long haul. Now, there's other funny things like, I don't want to out her, but one of our students, she's so cute. She just told me that she went to Billy Loeffler and she was like, oh, I'm totally going to out who it is yet because it's going to be easy to narrow it down. But it's a nice thing that I'm saying. It's positive. She's like, I want to work with you and I don't have tons of money and I know you just had a baby, so can I trade you for babysitting, right? And that was so smart. Now, not every producer has a baby that they can give you to baby. Okay. But what it reminds me of is how smart it is to think about what you have to offer, because you might not have money to offer up front, but you might have other stuff. And let me tell you this, like when I started working with Billy, I didn't have, that was like, I mean, to be fair, I had already had like 11 placements or something, but I wasn't in the caliber of artists yet that he was used to working with. And so he didn't really care that I had a few placements. It was like not as exciting as it was to my parents that it was to him. Because he had already worked with, Ingrid Michaelson and Avril Lavigne and Katie Herzig and Tim Meyer. And he was like, okay. But I was so enthusiastic about it. And I said to him, I can only give you this up front, but I'll give you this part of the master. And then I'll work my butt off. Like, I'll make sure these songs get, like I'll hand it to this person and I know this person and I'm going to really, and he was like, well, let's try it, and then we did 5 songs and then I got every one of them licensed, but I worked my butt off. Like I licensed them. This is before I had an agency. And there were 5 songs, and Gonna Be Happy was the first song, and I got that into the final episode of One Tree Hill, and I was having my baby. I was literally in labor when Lindsay Wolfington sent me the request, and I'm like answering her, and she's like, didn't you say last time we emailed that you were going to labor? Are you in labor? I'm like, yeah, I'm in labor, but I'm on an epidural. I can email. That one got licensed to that, and then the song You're Home to Me was the end title to a movie, which was great. And then So This Is Love was in a show called Drop Dead Diva, which was great. And then Count on Me was in a show called Switch to Birth and a show called Body Approved, and then a commercial. And I worked my butt off. And the 5th song was it was called I Can Hear My Heart, and it was also in this song called Drop Dead Diva. And so we had a range in there of songs from 5,000 to 9,000 to 12,000. It was a nice mix, but the EP did really well. And he was like, okay, let's do it. And he like rolled up his sleeves like, let's do another one. And we did another 5 songs.
What was the time between when you first had your meeting with them, when the songs got produced, and when?
Good. I love that question because it's helpful. It illuminates more. So I walked in to audition for him because I didn't want to send him the songs I had done. I wanted to do something new with him, so I just wanted to like play him my new songs. So I went in with a guitar to play for him, and I remember I tried to be cool and I wore like a beret on my head. Like I don't know why I was doing that. And anyway. That was in January. It was one of those like, it's a new year and I'm going to do the things that scare me. And I really didn't want to go, and I really wanted to stay in my comfort zone. And I had been married for a year and trying to have a baby, and it was totally unsuccessful and I was miserable. And I was like, maybe I should stop trying to do something that I have no control over and just do the thing I need to do, which is make a record. And so my friend introduced me to him. He was not right off the bat like ready to work with me. I didn't have the money. So he's like, let's meet at the end of January. You'll come in and you'll sing for me, whatever. And so I sang a bunch of songs. 2 of them, he was like, no. 3 of them, he was like, okay, I'm not sure what you want to do with those, but the raw song sounds okay. So we started recording at the end of February, and he's like, over the next 3 weeks, you should come up with 2 better songs because you have 3, but you need 2 better. And so the 2 that I actually thought were the best ones, we chucked and we wrote more songs. And then I came back with 5, and then recorded the end of February. And then we didn't license the first song. It's so funny. We started recording in February. I stopped thinking about getting pregnant. I got pregnant. And then I had 9 months till the baby was coming, and we finished this EP, and I had this EP finished and pressed and mastered. And
sorry.
no, it's okay. I'm just going to mute you just so we don't hear it. We had the EP mastered like around March, April, was like ready to go. And I was pregnant. So I was like, oh, I want to try to get meetings. And I like got my way into 26 offices. I met with Frankie Pine, Julia Michaels, Julianne Jordan, who do like Pitch Perfect, and they're a big deal. They hadn't done that yet, but they had done Devil Wears Prada and Swingers and whatever. I got myself into Wendy Levy's office, who just switched to birth. I got myself into people's offices, Kevin Edelman. It was a good summer. And I was pregnant too. So I was like, felt like an idiot in like my maternity cargo pant. Like it was like funny. I was like overweight. It was like whatever. And then the very first license was the day my daughter was born. And it was actually, back up, in September, 2 months before she was born, we got this Count on Me license for Switch to Birth. And it was the mom singing to her daughter, Count on Me. And I was like, that's crazy. I'm like having this girl. And then the second license was this One Tree Hill. I was in labor. And then we got this license for this show called Body of Proof. So that was all like, we started recording in February. I met him in January, recorded in February. And at the end of the year, like October, November, my daughter's birthday's in November. Her birthday's on this coming Wednesday. We started getting licenses. And then that next year, when I had like an infant, I went to the studio. I had a 1-day-old, and I was like making plans with him to make the next record. I was determined. And so I had a nanny 2 days a week then. That's all I had. And I would go 2 full days a week so that every month we'd have 4 new songs. We'd write, record each week. And then we made another record, and then I was all nervous because he thought, well, you knocked it out of the park with the first one. So with the second EP, we only licensed one of those songs of 5. We didn't license all 5, but the one song was decent. We licensed it to a movie. And then we did a full-length record of 10 songs. And then that full-length record, which was our third project, we licensed, like, I think all of those. Eliza, you want to come say hi? She's bringing me flowers. Look. How cute. Is Vicky home? Okay. You want to go back? This is Eliza. Eliza, say hi. No? You want to go outside then? I'll come get you when I'm done, okay? I'll take this. She's pretty cute. All right. So anyway, that was Eliza. So yeah, that's my time. That was the timeline. Does that help, Carrie? Where'd you go? I muted you.
Sorry. Yeah, that does help. So it was about
Look at this, puppies and toddlers. I love it.
Yeah, my side job is doggy daycare, dog walking.
That's great. That's a great side job.
Bird sitting. Yeah, it is. It's getting a little crazy, but I think it's just a holiday thing. Like so many side jobs, I'm not doing any recording.
That's so funny.
Yeah, that does help. So you were shopping songs for like 7 months to get all those licenses done, and you were recording in studio with Bill Leffler, so that was pretty efficient process.
Yeah, it was, and then the second EP, one of them got licensed, not all 5, and then we did a record and a full record, and that had a bunch of songs that got licensed, Let Your Color Shine, Gonna Make a Change. I have to like see what's on that record, but a lot of
on the record.
What?
We all know what's on.
You know what's on it? That record did really well. That record was like 2 McDonald's spots and Hasbro. Oh, We're Good Together was on that record. That was a fun record, and I had a moment with that record where I got a really big manager excited because of all the licenses, and I was contemplating making that like my record that I would like then go on tour and try to be like use it to become a bigger artist, and I didn't want to because I had a baby, and I was like, I think I'm just gonna keep doing this. Like I'm gonna have another kid. I'm not gonna tour. I'm not gonna try to be a big artist, but I'll just enjoy making good money and being a mom. And then we bought a house with that. It was great, and I just made that decision then that wasn't what I wanted to do. But I could have that was like a turning point, that record. And I didn't, but it's fun to see those songs like on YouTube where people put it up and there's like 200,000 views and people would,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it was cool. But that's where, Ari comes in, where there are times where things just go together so well. Like when Ingrid Michaelson started licensing her song, she started touring, because that's where you can start to leverage it. People start to know about you, and you can start to find your fans, and that's great. If you want to go all in as an artist, that's a great way to really grow. But I sort of, cut it off there because I wanted to be a mom and stay home. But anyway, but I'm glad we talked about it, because sometimes you think like it's like putting money in a vending machine. It's like you record a song and there comes a license. It's not, first of all, it's not like that. And by the way, before I met him, I had been writing for a few years, and a lot of those songs were just like, and not quite, almost, and then a couple of them were good. And I had a few licenses before that, but it was, I had one promo for NBC, and I had a Kodak ad that was $25,000. I had like a few placements, but I had spent the time being not quite there for a while. So I got used to it not being like immediate,
No, the time is crazy. I mean, the time it takes to get one song done, to me, is just like, it's crazy. I mean, I'm sure it'll speed up over time, but just
yeah. So what else? Who else? I see your hands. Sam, what's up? What's going on?
Hey.
Hey.
Yeah, it's going good. It's going good, and just doing what I do and plowing away over here, and got music cycling through and songwriters coming through. So I'm definitely more on the production, obviously, end of things. So that's where I'm constantly feel like I'm on a teeter-totter thing of like trying to figure out how to do this all, as far as, and everything you're sharing, I'm like, I feel like a sponge, just absorbing. But so I have songs like coming back from mastering almost weekly now. I have like probably 6 or 7 or 8 songs that have come back.
Amazing.
In the last, like 2 weeks. And a lot of them all are just different artists, co-writers, some people from the class. I've done a couple songs with John Kleinbell recently that I think are like really good and perfectly shaped for sync and stuff like that.
Yep.
And so I feel like I'm on that end of it. And I also feel like I got some good contacts going with people in the industry around here that are connected to being able to sync and license. So I'm hitting the emails, hitting the, Facebook messages, or just different things like that. So I guess I feel like I'm at that point. I'm like so close. It's that like final step. It's almost like I feel like I could get like a good license like any day.
I feel it. I think that's true.
A waiting game. But I guess something you just said just really sparked something with me about how you said you went and sat down and met with people. You had all those meetings like face to face. And so like, I guess my question, or the advice I'm looking for, is like, I'm kind of in a weird middle place, because I'm kind of the producer, and some of these I've co-written more now, but I'm not an artist. I don't have like, an artist presence, I guess. So I'm not shopping myself as like, hey, I'm an artist and I have these songs, kind of like what you were doing, and looking to find, homes for them on like a TV show or a commercial or something like that. I'm more coming to someone saying like, hey, I'm a producer and I have these side projects, and they all kind of have names, and a few of the songs are on iTunes already, but I don't know. So I'm like, I guess just what's one more step I can do? What's one more thing? Should I try to set up meetings with like people and see if I can sit across a desk from someone and say like, how can I, serve a need for you? How can I meet? Like, what do you need? And are these songs it yet? Or I don't know.
Yeah, I love the way that you're thinking about it. And I think the answer is yes. And what I think is try to figure out, anticipate what it is that you can do to help them. And you know what you can do, because the songs are already out in the world, the types of songs that they need. And so I would hustle it. I would try to get meetings, but I wouldn't necessarily try to get a meeting that says, I'd love to meet with you and find out what you need, because everybody is asking them that. And they don't have the time to just educate lots of people, because they have a lot, they have to do, paid to do it, and they're under a lot of pressure to go to the vet and they have a husband or fiance or whatever. Hang on one sec. I want to shut this door because I hear my nanny washing dishes in the other room. Hang on. What was I going to say? So I feel like if you can anticipate, like, it's amazing how many opportunities can just come to you when you just say, here's a shot at what I think you need, right? Now that is what we've been doing, right? We've been trying to anticipate. That's what good drivers do. That's what good basketball players do. They anticipate what the other person might do, and then they're already there, as opposed to, like, you know, the situation arises, they're like, oh crap, I missed it. So we are anticipating, but we want to be really specific. I'll give you an example from my podcast. So, you know, I'm hosting this podcast. I get lots of emails, blah, blah, blah. This one woman, she sends me an email last week with quotes from the podcast, and she does like hand lettering and typography. She sends me in hand lettered, she sends me quotes that she loves, and then she went ahead and took the time to put them on t-shirts and mugs to make prototypes, and sent me photos and said, do you like this? Would you want to have it? So you can sell your own mugs or t-shirts with, you know, things that I say, like, you are enough, and, you know, a t-shirt she has, like, that says grittier, like, and whatever. She has a bunch of things. So I just wrote back, yes, absolutely. That's amazing. I was so impressed. I've had other people send me notes saying, I do typography. It's probably a great idea, since you say inspirational things, to have to have your own mug. What do you want me to say? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm not in the business of making like goods like that. And then they'd be writing back, do you want to get together and discuss it? It's like, I don't quite have the time to get together with you, but if you came up with something and I saw it and I liked the way it looked. And then I've had other people who've sent me a couple things. I just didn't like the style, actually. It's happened before. But this woman, actually, she just did the whole thing, and I liked it. And so I was like, done. And so I said, what do you want me to pay you for that? And she was like, how about this? And I was like, that's totally fine. And I'll tell everybody on the show that you're the artist. You'll get all the advertising. Should be great. So I feel like we need to anticipate and then say, you know, tell them, like, I am not just another producer. I've thought about it. And if I was you, this is an interesting way to market. It's interesting. They found out in research, even if you can do 8 things really well, you should tell people that you specialize in something, because the way the human mind works is we can't handle overload. So if you tell me I do everything, whatever you need, I do nothing. My brain does nothing about that. I have nowhere to file it. But the way brains work is we like to put things into folders because it helps us to move through lots of information throughout the day. So I used to tell people that I'm really specialized in writing really happy songs. And I don't only write those kinds of songs. And I have actually licensed songs that are sad. But I made it stick in their mind when they needed a happy song, they should email me because I probably have it. And so I said to people, I write happy songs that are really easy to clear. So if you need a one-stop happy song, you should send me an email because I probably have it. So people started to take a chance. And then I did specialize in that. Bill would always say, that's so smart. So if we're going to do 10 songs, let's write 8 happy songs and then 2 that you just want to whatever, just have fun with and be sad or whatever you're feeling. But let's double down. Let's specialize in that. Let's find you a sound. And so that worked. That really worked. And I started to get known for that, which I think is where the advertising started to come in. But I was always ahead. Like I was always listening to the last McDonald's spot and writing my own songs that I thought would go for McDonald's, which is what I've been trying to teach you guys to do, right? And that's why I've had songs on all these sort of shows and promos because my music is sort of known for that. And then, you know, it's like the cart before the horse. By telling people to think of me for something, then they would, and then I would actually get the opportunity. So instead of saying like, I represent all kinds of things and I'm a producer and all of that's amazing, but that's not going to help you. So maybe you can say, I'm really good at, when I'm thinking John Kleinbell, that's actually really interesting because John started with my class, I think it's almost 2 years ago. Like that's freaking nuts. It is. And he was so frustrated and burnt out when we met. And he was like, Kathy, and one time he was like almost in tears. He's like, I've tried so much for like six years, and I'm just tired, and I don't think I can do this, and I'm gonna go get a job selling insurance, whatever he was gonna do. And I was like, why don't you stick with it and listen to what I'm saying? And then he would like work really hard, and he would show up and he would write a song and then another song. And I was like, it's getting closer. It's getting closer. That's good. That's a win if it's closer. And then he made this little band with Bill called the Wonder Strikes, which again, that's happiness. The Wonder Strikes. It sounds like fun, uplifting. And they wrote this like ad, like an EP that was just like a bubble of feel good. And he got a Starbucks placement, and he called me and he was like, dude, like my whole life has changed. Like I just made 50 grand. Like, he's like, doing music because of everything you told me to do. And I was like, yes, yes, yes. And then another placement. He got like a bunch in a row, and he was like, Kathy knows what she's talking about. I was like, I think I do. I really do. But his music was not like that when he came to me. His music was kind of like just rock and roll. In fact, I would say it wasn't like happy, feel good. It was more like grungy rock, Black Keys. But he was like, I need to specialize in this, because this is actually, the thing is about specializing in that kind of stuff. Even if you wind up doing other stuff, it doesn't mean you won't get to do that other stuff. And the thing is, most people don't specialize in that. Most people feel like it's not as cool. So to write feel good music, and I'm thinking like, are you crazy? Because like you get paid better to do a song for an ad. And if you look at like the roster on Zinc and all those artists who are really good at writing those like quirky, happy, feel good songs, but like cool, they're amazing. They're like, those songs are incredible. So I don't think there's anything to like roll your eyes at, but whatever it is that's your thing. If somebody says to me, I, write Cuban music, I'm like, good, filed away. Like next time I need something for something Latin, I'm going to call you, and even if it's not Cuban, but it's set in another Latin country, maybe I'll ask you, since you speak Spanish, if you can write something. Like I need to file things in my head because everything's too big. So specialize, good. And then the other thing is, yes, reach out to people because they're all humans, right? They're not computers. And they're all alive in the world, which means you're like one email away from someone maybe reading an email, and then you guys can make a relationship. So I've known a lot of artists who said, I'm just going to start emailing that people, and maybe this person's having a generous day and they might respond. And if you can make a relationship, even if the person doesn't like the song, I wouldn't lose the opportunity. I would say, I'm so appreciative that you wrote back. Tell me one thing, please, that I can fix. What's one thing, one aspect that you can like point to? Just one. I'm sure there's like 50. You can be humble. There's probably too many. Just one. Because if you can answer, fill in that answer, like, oh, I needed more of this, or they didn't like that. First of all, that could be so helpful. And people love to give their advice. People are obsessed with giving advice. People love to feel like they're smart. And if you then do it, and then you write back 3 weeks later and you fixed it, or you added something or whatever, it's very hard for someone not to give you a chance, because it's very, it's endearing that somebody shows up, they take your advice, and you feel like a little bit invested because you just sent this person down this rabbit hole. And I have seen artists make connections like that here and there with one or two supervisors, and then that person goes to bat for them. And the person feels purposeful, because happiness is purpose. So when you give people purpose, they start to like the person that's associated with the feeling of purpose. So that's why, even when a mom is like 70, she's like, did you take your sweater? And if you ask your mom to comment, like to come with you to look at the house before you decide, even if you don't choose the one she likes, she feels like you care about her opinion. And so you make her feel good about herself, right? And it's like, even at that age, they want to get to be the mom. So if you bring people into the process, you're going to learn really important things, which is really helpful. And then you're going to make them feel like they're 20 feet tall. And some of them might never respond, but a few of them might get into this with you and then be like, Sam's my guy. Like, when he finally has one, I'm gonna root for him because he's working really hard. So why the heck not? That's my advice.
Thank you. Speaking of kids, and now my daughter, I hear you're gonna see my daughter in just a second.
Oh my God, let me see her.
Uh-oh. Oh. Uh-oh, the drama. Once you get 3 of them, then it's there's
I know, I have 3 and she is so gorgeous.
Oh yeah, say hi to everyone.
What's her name?
Greta.
Oh, I love that name.
Yeah.
So cute, and I totally get it. So I will mute you so you don't have to feel like you have to. Feel free to talk to her or whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
But you are so close, Sam. I've had my eyes on you since you started, and it's undeniable, and it's a matter of time. So I can't wait to be celebrating. I'm no doubt undeniable. Will be. Will be.
All right. Thank you.
Who else? Who else wants to ask me a question? Fred, I see you raise your hand. What's up?
Hi. Hi. There's good news and and one question about a problem. So good news is I got an email from a guy working for a record label. They're doing compilations, instrumental music for meditation, for yoga, and things like that. And it looks like they want to work with me, which is cool news. So don't know what will happen, but they're interested. So it's good news.
That's awesome.
And there's also a problem, and I'm not living in Nashville, Los Angeles, New York, these music cities. I'm living in the country, and people like me are like aliens here. We don't fit into these different ways of living, and since I started the course, I gained so much energy and started to run forward and push forward and do things, and I was growing, but it's like there's sometimes a price that you have to pay for it, which means losing people you love. And the situation is, I know if I keep on going that way, it will happen. But on the other hand, I can't go back. I can only be myself. It's like I'm riding on a train that is not stopping, and if I go back, I will not be happy. But if I keep going that direction, it will also. And that's moments when what I call a talent or a gift or whatever is feeling like a curse. And right now I'm totally paralyzed. I can't work on songs. I don't have the energy. It's maybe a part of me says, if you finish the song, if you go forward, things will happen, and then you will lose the person and whatever. And I don't know how to get out of this black hole that I'm in since this whole thing started to happen. Maybe there's other people who have been in the same situations, but like I said, when this gift starts to feel like a curse, and you can't change yourself, you can't be anybody else but yourself. And any advices?
Oh my God, my whole body and soul and like my whole being is like, do you guys feel that? Like, I feel like everything in me was like, there was like a tingling sensation because like you were just like so honest, so vulnerable, and everything you just said, I totally have journeyed through, and I'm sure everybody listening got that. And that was one of the coolest moments like we've had in this program. And I'm so thankful that you shared that so eloquently. And this is why I say, and this is why I started my podcast, because the stakes are so high. This is not about a business, this business venture versus another. This is the intersection of doing the thing you love in the world, which helps you feel the most like yourself, and therefore you find what you're here to do in the world. And so you contribute the thing that is you. So it's very tied to purpose of why we're here and these very big questions. This is not a class about how do you make money for money's sake and what kinds. This is literally right there on that spot that's called, I'm looking myself in the mirror and asking myself, is this really what I want? And if it is, what's the cost that I'm going to have to pay for it? And there is a cost, right? The cost might be, like you said, that some people might not like it, okay? And that ultimately, when you get to the other side, you realize that if that's love, that comes at too high a cost, right? Because you're not going to be somebody you're not. My sister just yesterday reminded me, because I said, oh, I was driving in the car listening to the song that was the song you had with your ex, because she was engaged. And I said, and I was teared up thinking like, oh, you know, it's the holidays and you could have gotten married. And she said, she's an actor. She went to NYU for acting. And he had said to her, so I don't really want a wife that's an actor. So you're just going to give that up and you're going to move here with me and you'll live in San Diego and you won't do any of those things. And she started to like literally like have like panic attacks. And she realized like, that's not my life. Like I'm looking at a mirror and I'm not going to walk down this road because I won't be myself. And it takes a tremendous amount of courage. And the truth is that all of us, every person, every single one of your friends on Facebook, every person who lives down the street, every person is doing that every day anyway. Like even if you're married to the right person or you have kids and grandparents or neighbors who are supportive, there's always this moment in those relationships where there's either I say what I need to say in this moment or I protect the person's feelings, right? And so we have to be kind and respectful, but we have to stay true to ourselves. And ultimately, sometimes it's really, if we're being kind, and that's a prerequisite, right? But we just need to say something. If the person doesn't like it, that is ultimately for everybody's good, for people to be themselves and tell the truth. And then sometimes it's the thing that the other person needs to do to grow. And sometimes it means it's so painful, but I don't think that I can't be myself if I'm with you. So I don't know that is so hard. And I have had so many experiences like that in my life. So many where I feel like I have to shrink so this person can feel comfortable, or I have to, not be this way. And it's like, I can't do that. I can't. I've had so many experiences like this. You're so speaking my language. In fact, that song I wrote, Heart of a Hero, is about the quality in myself that so often has robbed myself of being honest because I so want the relationship to remain steady. So I won't say what I need to say. I won't have the courage to do what I need to do, whatever the hell it is. And that has so hurt me. It's so hurt me. And I can just tell you, please, I hope you can hear this. I know it's not easy sometimes to hear positive things and take them in as real. You're so exquisite. What you just said and how you said it is so unusually above the radar of special that I have no doubt that if you continue to do you'll find the people around you who will support you, because there's so much good to support. If you can if you want to, rest on somebody else's reflection of what you're saying, I'm telling you, I wouldn't say this. That would be so mean. I'm saying it because I just felt how true it is what I'm saying. And it is hard and it is lonely, even in general, because most people have just taken this easy road where they decide that they're going to take a day job because it's too painful to have to look at what they really want and then not quite get it and fail and have to work harder. And it's all like their self-esteem and their ego, because they don't want to not get it right out the park. And it's easier to just go numb and basically give yourself a lobotomy and sit down at a desk and do something that you hate for the next 40 years because you make the choice of, well, if I actually have to get in there and look at it and I really audition and then I don't get it and I have to be rejected or I'm not quite as good as I think in my head I could be, that's way more painful. So I'm just going to have no life and I'm going to sit at this desk and I'm going to lose my life, right? So you do feel like an alien, even if you're not living in the country, even in the city. Do you know how many artists, I moved out to LA around the same time as them and they're gone. They took this job or that job. They couldn't stay in it and they think I'm crazy. And then everybody else, and you go home for Thanksgiving. We're having Thanksgiving, those of us here in the States. And people look at you. When I was first doing this, people would be so flat out rude to me. I would have family members who would be like, Cathy, you're smart. You got good grades in college. Like, why are you going to be an artist? Please stop. You're going to ruin your life. You'll never be steady. You'll never get married. Nobody wants to marry a girl who's writing songs. Just stop. You know, like give yourself a shot at a normal life. And people were begging me. And then a year later, I started to do okay. And somebody said, oh, I heard you had a song in some Christmas movie. Did you get paid? Did they pay you? And I was like, did you just ask me that? Like, it's so mean. And it was $2,500, you know, and someone's like, what'd you make? I said, $2,500. And the woman's like, she's in my family. And she was like, oh, please, you're never going to make a living on that, you know? And she walked away, and I was like hysterical. And when I met my husband, he was like, I don't care what you are. Like, I just want you to be yourself. And I had moments in my life where I looked at life, and I looked at it in the version of me not being myself, and I didn't want to be here. It was like, if being here means that I have to take all these things inside of me that just feel like they have to come out, but I have to do this and put them over here and then be somebody else, I can't do it. I was like, I can't survive that. I won't survive. I won't. And having had a mom who was suicidal my whole life and parents who were divorced, and, you know, I just was like, oh, I think I get it. One way to avoid being on medication is to make yourself happy. So I was like, I think I'm just gonna like not go down the road of, you know, struggling with like feeling good about breathing in and out. And I'm just gonna take the easier road, which is maybe I won't have money right away, but I'm going to work my butt off, and I'm going to commit to myself, and I'm going to get there. And even if I don't, I'm already there, right? I'm already there today if I'm living as me today. Because what people really want, what happiness really is, it's that purpose. It's that feeling that you're aligned with yourself, right? That's like it. It's like, oh my God. And thankfully, none of us are like, you know, having to worry about how to get a sandwich. You know, it's like we're not, there's people who don't even have this Wi-Fi. Like, they can't even have this conversation. They can't ever have it. Like them, their parents, their free generations, they couldn't even have that. They just have to find clean water. They have to just find clean water, or else they won't survive till tomorrow. So those of us who have the ability to make a choice, it's like, double down on yourself. Double down. Like, it sounds ridiculous because it sounds so small and nothing to say like one person, but like John Kleinfeld's an example of a human being who had sadness in his heart. Like, he didn't feel like himself, and he wasn't winning. He was losing. He didn't have the right strategy. It's like, he had the courage to keep going. I just went with my kids to see Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory at the Hollywood Bowl. And like, here I am, not my husband, me. Like, my husband does fine, but me, I'm buying us box seats. Like, I make more money than he does. And we have box seats, and we're at the Hollywood Bowl, and it's like, you know, it's just great. Meanwhile, we're watching Willy Wonka, and I'm thinking, what's the message of this movie, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, right? This kid, Charlie Bucket, he's got no money. He's got 4 grandparents who sit in a bed for 20 years. He's got one mom, no father. They have like 3 pennies to rub together to buy like a loaf of bread. That's it. And he does his paper route, and he gives all his money to his mom, and they have nothing, absolutely nothing. And he saves up enough money for his birthday. His family gets him a chocolate bar, and there's no ticket in it. And it stings so bad. He doesn't get it. He just doesn't. And the movie moves on, and all these kids, you know, there's 4. They all get the golden ticket, and he doesn't. And he wants it more than anyone because he has nothing. He has no father. He's got nothing, no toys, no best friend time. Like, he's got nothing. And it hurts so bad that he doesn't get it. And then he has this moment where he finds like a coin in the street, which is like amazing because it could feed his family because they have nothing. And he looks at it, and he like feels himself like kind of freaking out, and he goes, I could buy one more, right? Like, I could go to bat again. I could buy one more chocolate bar. But if it's not in there, it's going to hurt so bad, right? It's like, I'm going to put myself up there again, and I might get destroyed again, and maybe I won't recover from that. Maybe that disappointment will be so painful. And he does it. And it's in there, right? It's in there. And it's like, that's us. That's why that movie is like, that's every person. And that's why we love that character, because it's like he had the courage to go up to bat again. Like, I have a friend whose wife passed away. She was a really good friend of mine, and he went through hell. She was 41. He went through hell, total hell. And I just saw him, and we had dinner with him and his new girlfriend. And I said, you are so freaking brave. You are the bravest person in the world. Like, you're going up to bat again, you know? And he goes, yeah, I mean, for like 3 years, I was so depressed. And then I was like, I'm going to do it again. And I might get the shit kicked out of me. But he's like, I have to. And I have 2 sons who, they need a mom. And he's like, and I fell in love. And she's amazing, right? That's courage. It's so much courage. And at the end of Willy Wonka, so we saw the Broadway show. I took my kids to see the Broadway show 3 weeks ago. And at the end of the Broadway show, it's a little different from the movie. They sing this song, Willy Wonka and Charlie. And he says to him, it's this awesome sentence. And I was like, this is the show. This is what this show's about. He says to him, Charlie, you and I, you know what we do? We make something out of nothing. That's what we do. He goes, you did it, Charlie. You made something from nothing. And that is what creative people, dreamers, good people, like, you see crap, you keep going. You have something, you keep going. It's like, it's not there yet. And then it's sand, it's glass. Boom. Right? It's like, it's one thing, and then boom, now it's something else. But that, like, at the heart of it, it's like the courage of the person to be willing to handle the pain until it gets there. That's why we look up to all these people. That's why every movie is about someone who has to just have that moment where they have that come to Jesus moment with themselves, and then they're like, and I'm going to keep going, right? Because every other movie that wasn't made, every other person's story is, and then I gave up. And then that's the movie. So we don't watch those movies, right? We watch the movie about the kid who bought the golden ticket, the chocolate bar again, or, you know, every freaking movie. Every single movie is about, that's the movie. The movie is about the protagonist coming up against, do I keep going and trying to become who I'm supposed to be, or stop? That's every movie. Sometimes it comes in the form of a relationship. Sometimes it comes in the form of Rocky. Sometimes it comes in the form of The Devil Wears Prada. And she has to, you know, overcome all this adversity. And this is every movie. So you're talking about everybody, and there is no choice other than to follow our, and it doesn't mean that it's the easy, smooth, you know, perfect. It just means that it's chock full of meaning. It's chock full of purpose. And if you stay in it, you get there, because most people stop. That's just a numbers game. And when you have talent and you combine it with heart and grit and strategy, you do get there. It's not like you're trying to land on the moon. Like, even that, people figured that out, right? But what you're trying to do is, take something that's inside of you, in this music, and also do music that someone else goes, I love that, I need that, that's beautiful to me, so I'm going to pay you for it. So you're trying to find the intersection of creating something that you love and somebody else going, yes, me too, I want to pay for it, I want to buy it. That's the economy. That's economics. I make something, I create something, I do something, and it's not just good for me, it's good for someone else. So there's purpose. That's a mission. That's why when people say, like, isn't it selling out to write songs for other people? I'm like, did you not get what life is? Life is when it's not just good for you, it's good for someone else, right? So, like, this is like literally like focusing on that. How do I write a song that someone else needs? But when you get paid, that's why when people get paid for things, I don't think, they're so lucky. You're just so lucky. It's like, no. They figured out how to do something that the world needs, the world wants, it fills a purpose. Even if it's making a great cookie, the world needs great cookies, right? Great ice cream. It's like, it doesn't matter what it is you create, but what you create can't just be tasty to you. It's got to be tasty to somebody else. So to me, if you're an artist and you can make a painting or you can make a song and I want to license it or I want to buy it, that means you found your purpose in this world, my friend, right? So it sounds like you're already doing that. You're really far, far down the path already. And somebody just reminded you that they like it, right? And I love the context of, like, they want to use it for yoga or meditation music, that's just so freaking cool, because now your music isn't just cool for you and someone else. It's like it can help people have like a transformative experience. But I think what you just need, because you already have clarity, you just need, like all of us, we all just need support, right? It's like we need support to go down this road. That's all. And as hard as it is, it's like, you know what's really hard? Cancer. What's really hard? Losing a parent. What's really hard? You know, it's like, we make it sometimes bigger than it has to be. It doesn't have to be that hard. It's like, yeah, it's super uncomfortable. Yeah, it would be much easier to just like quit. You know, all that stuff is true. But if we have the right support, and you guys do, you have each other, then it's time to just embrace it. And all you need is that reminder. You do need a reminder. We're not meant to be alone. We are connected beings. In fact, scientists say if you took two clocks, like you have two clocks, and you put them next to each other on a wall, even if they're set to be 3 seconds apart, they become in sync. Did you know this? So if you have two women who start, you guys know what I'm going to say. There's two women who share a house together, their periods come at the same time. It is the weirdest shit, and it is true. So we are all connected beings. We cannot do this alone. We cannot do this alone. And so we need to be really conscientious about who we share our dreams with and who we share things with. And there might be people in your life, even if they're really helpful and good in one area, you can't share this stuff with them. And that's okay too. Not everybody has to get this. They might be great to be in your life because they might be like so dependable and reliable in other ways. You don't just get rid of them, but there might be certain people who you really protect certain things with, and you share it with this person. Like, I'll just be honest with you. Like, my husband, he's an attorney. He's sarcastic. He's an introvert. We are total opposites. If something great happens to me, he is not my first call, because his response is like, cool. Or it's like, what'd the contract say? Are you sure you looked at it? It's like, where's all the enthusiasm? Where's the balloons? Where's the, oh my God, you know? So I have like people that I call, you know, and even my sister, who I love. My sister is so happy for me, but she's struggling with her own stuff. So she's sometimes like, oh, it's great. Oh, what's wrong with my life? You know, so I don't tell her. But I have a few friends who will be like, Cathy, that's insane. Oh my God, let me repeat it to you. You just told me that your song was chosen to be the theme song of the show. Let me repeat that again. Did you hear it? And I'll be like, yes. Or there's certain people that when I don't get it, I'll call and they'll be like, keep going, dude. Keep going, you know? And then there's other people who I would never call. I wouldn't, even though my parents are so proud of me, they're just waiting for something to go wrong. And they're like, finally, okay, great. Now can you put all this energy into being an attorney? Or not that I'd ever be an attorney, but you know what I mean? Like it's like I would never share it with them. So it doesn't mean see you later. It just means like I'm smart and I know where to get the support that I need. And you've come to the right place. And I hope that you got a big fire hose dose of it just now from me. And I hope that you hold on to that. That might last you like a good month. But you guys need to do that for each other. You know, maybe you guys should have like a separate meetup where you connect and just say like, what do you, oh yeah, this is like, oh, it's so frustrating, you know, or keep going, keep going, keep going. And if you have each other, then that's like liquid gold. Most people don't have like-minded people who believe in what they're doing. So I hope that that helps. Yes. Yay. What a great question and comment, and that's so good. And it's the new year soon, and it's like, this is it. And people are so blasé. People are like so disconnected. It's like, do you know that your time is limited? Like, do you know that? You know, it's like, I don't know where I stand. Sometimes I'm like, I absolutely, you know, believe in like reincarnation and a soul, and I don't think I think that this is it. But even if this is like the one, it's like, it's still, this is still limited in one sense, right? It's like, I'm going to be here as me in this one way for this amount of time. It's like, then the stakes are really high, and a new year is really significant, and we probably should do what we really want. And maybe people will say all the time that they like want to be successful, and it's like, define it. What does it mean to you? And it's like, people will like put themselves like, you know, like I had someone on my show, he's like, people will run in front of a speeding bus to be successful. And then it's like, wait, what does that mean to you? Oh, I don't know, shoot. It's like, well, if you back up from there and being successful means being yourself, or being successful means being this or that, then are you doing that? So like, new year, really important to check in. really important to make sure that we're like doing the stuff we need to do and prioritizing the stuff that needs to be done and deprioritizing the stuff that is not important. And the stakes could not be higher. It's like nothing's been promised. New day, so much to get done, right? So it's great to be having the conversation, and it's not ridiculous. It's not overstating it. It's like just need to live our lives, which most people don't live their life. They pretend that they're somebody else their whole life. It's like, what a freaking waste, you know? So anyway, Steve, I see your hands up. What's going on?
Yo.
What's up, man?
I wanted to start that off by saying, Fred, I totally get where you're coming from. I'll say like 4 years ago, at this point, I was, doing a desk job. My parents, when I went to school, didn't want me to go to a performing arts school because they're like, you're not going to make it as a musician. That's just like not a thing that people make money on, really. So be practical, go to a liberal arts school, get your degree, get your MBA, do the whole business thing. So I did that, and then my friends got in a band. I joined them, was still thinking I was going to be on this side, just like, all right, I'm doing this thing. And slowly, it started to dawn on me that I'm now a professional musician. And it didn't really click until like a few months ago. And it's like, okay, no, this is actually what I'm doing for my life. And I'm doing what I want to do. So keep going with it. Stop like trying to do something else because it might not work out or whatever. So it doesn't always come right away where you realize, oh, okay, I'm not doing the right thing. Now I'm going to do the right thing. It's just like a ongoing process of figuring yourself out, figuring what you want to do. And yeah, it's not easy, certainly. And, like family members might not support you right away, but definitely. So for me, I'm in a band, and that has helped a lot because the other members of the band are going through similar things. And, like the parents are always like, is it really the best decision for you to be doing right now? And it's like, yeah. But it's an interesting path for sure. But what I wanted to say, I recently finished a song, like the track that I'd shared the last time. I finished it. I submitted it to a bunch of blogs, and 3 of them got back saying that they're going to write about it. And it's coming out on the 28th. So
that's amazing. That's amazing. Like you had see, that takes it takes guts and it takes resourcefulness. And then it also takes not having all the answers, just trying something, just putting something out there, and then look what came back. You must have felt like $1 million.
Yeah, it was interesting because I'm a very analytical person, and so I submitted to a bunch of blogs, and I think Ari's talked about there's a platform called Submit Hub, where if you pay premium credits, the people have to get back to you with some feedback. And I submitted to 9, 6 of them rejected it, and with they came quicker, the rejections came faster than the acceptance. So at first it's is it good enough? Was it right? And then I'm reading all the feedback. It's I could go back and change it, but I don't. And then a few came, and then the last one that came, the guy was like, I really dig this. I want to actually put this on a vinyl compilation that we're doing, and we'll give you 5 free vinyls and $100 and a whole it's not exclusive. You'll get to keep everything. It's just we want to put on this thing. It's all right, I am going in the right direction. I'm just ignored the shitty stuff that wasn't resonating with them. So that's fine. I don't need to pay attention. Take the feedback and be okay, maybe I could tighten up the mix a little bit on my next track or whatever, but also maybe don't submit to those people because they don't vibe with my music. So it's just there's always going to be a battle, which I'm still getting to grips with, pursuing what you want to do, having success, and then having, negative feedback and dealing with that and being is this still good? Am I still going the right way? So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. Is an interesting point because I'm not going to be touring for 4 months. Therefore, I'm not going to be making money in a actual guaranteed way for 4 months. And I'm okay, I'm on my own. I'm pretty sure I can do this. And having that first track out was very helpful. But I'm also worried about, again, splitting my focus too much.
Mm-hmm.
I read something that was like, if you're like 80% guaranteed to succeed at something, the next thing you add splits it to another 80%. So like to succeed at both of those is like 64%. And then the next thing you add is another 80%. So like the more you split your focus, the harder it is to actually succeed and, you know, get.
Yeah, we talked about that last time, remember? Because you were like, should I try this kind of music or writing just for sing or, you know, doing these sort of instrumental pieces?
Right. And so that's when it's like, all right, I'm going to release a song every month, or it might not work in December just because of the holidays and everything, but like January.
You know what was so inspiring to me that is just such a great example of this, and maybe something that you guys can start to like just, I don't know, think about as a model, even if you're not going to do it this way. I think it's just a reminder. There's so many of these stories, but you guys know who Kina Grannis is, right? You know who Kina is? So she's got like a gazillion followers, and she just had her 10-year anniversary. Did you guys see that? It was really cool because she's been putting out like videos. Steve, do you know who she is?
No.
Okay, so check her out. So she's been putting out videos and going on YouTube and all that stuff for a long time. And she just had her 10-year anniversary. And so she was like telling the story. And she was like, 10 years ago, there was a contest and I was supposed to submit like a music video. And she's like, and people voted for me. So I won the contest. And then the thing you win is a record deal. So she's like, so I got a record deal and then quickly realized that this was like totally a joke and I didn't want to have this record deal and that it was like the money was terrible and the amount of work was a lot and that I was going to write stuff I hated and it was all terrible. So she's like, so I walked away, and she said, I just tried to like, you know, trust that maybe since people voted for a video, maybe I could just start with nothing, but like find a few fans, right? And she started doing the math, like if I had just a few fans who would like, you know, pay like $10 a month to like watch my video, like maybe I could do something. So she said, I'm really shy. And she goes, please don't go back and watch 10 years ago. Cause I was so embarrassed, you know. She's like, but I just set out to like create stuff. So in 10 years, she created like 400 videos and she did a lot of stuff. And she was very persistent about trying all different kinds of ways, like to just try to reach like people like online. And, you know, it's like ridiculous, like what she was able to do. Like she started her own label. She's making like millions. And all of her fans are like direct, like she just did it herself. Like, hi, here I am on my computer. What up? You know? And I've had a similar experience to that with like starting a podcast, just like so random. Like I started this podcast as a total side thing and just put it on iTunes. And then like hundreds of thousands of people were like, yay, Cathy, yay, I love this show, yay. I was like, where'd you come from? You know? And then like now that's become like such a big deal. And like I have a book deal and I get to talk to people around the world and I get paid to like go like fly to places and like open my mouth. You know, it's like weird, but it's just awesome. Like we live in such a cool time. And so when you just said like maybe I could release a song a month, I'm like, what if you pushed yourself to like be really, really creative and out of your comfort zone and you put out a song a week and then like did a video and went on to Instagram or Patreon or whatever. And I then think about my friend Peter Hollins, who has like hundreds of thousands of, I think he has 1 million Instagram followers, and he's like an a cappella singer, and he's the guy you guys have all probably seen where like he splits the screen and sings all the harmonies and makes these YouTube videos, and he's making 7 figures a year. And here's the thing. If you're not Peter Hollins or Kina Grannis, by the way, you know what's great about this story? Most of you don't know who they are. That's what's so freaking cool. Is like they're making millions, not hundreds of millions, and some of us have no clue who they are. It's like, yay, that's my whole point. But what I was gonna say even further is you might not make 7 figures, you might make 30 grand a year and be like, that's freaking awesome. That's like a huge improvement. Like, or you might make $200,000 and be like, I don't have to be on the level of Peter Hollins, who no one's even heard of him. So maybe I could be over here. No one's heard of me, but there's like these people who know me and like me, and that's enough. And that's what I'm saying. Like even in my licensing business, at the end of the day, there's like there's probably like 60 music supervisors who really matter. There's more, but I'm saying, like, if you really, really boil it down to the most significant shows and ad agencies, there's like maybe, 20 or so in the ad world that are really the big deals, and like 30 or so in the TV world. And at the end of the day, of those, let's say 60 people, there were like 12 that like were my fans, right? And like, I made a great living from that. And I've continued to make a great living from that. And so, and no one knows my name. It's like, I'm nowhere near Peter Hollins, and no one even knows his name. And it's all good. It's amazing. It's just like, my husband's an attorney. He works at Fox. He works at Fox Sports. He's a sports nerd, and he has a great job he loves. He's vice president of legal at Fox Sports. And he worked for years at an annoying job before he got to that. But the point is, no one knows who he is, right? Like, and attorneys in general, no one really knows their name unless they're Don Passman. But the point being, it's like, that's the same thing with every field. It's not like you're either here or you're here and now you're an idiot. It's like, there's so much we can be doing. There's so many different ways. So the question is, like, what are the coolest things that you can do to just start to like gain, I was going to say gain an audience, but another way to look at it is like, what can I create that other people want? And when you think about it, what I think about is like solving problems, right? So, what do people really want? Like, if you are not an artist, okay, if you were not somebody who could sing or play guitar or whatever, what would you want from someone who can do all those things? And so I think Kina and Peter differently like tapped into that, because Peter realized that he sings a cappella and some people can't. And so he realized, like, he thought about what would people think would be cool. It's like, well, maybe if I split the screen and I sang all these parts, but then what if I sang the songs everyone likes? Okay, so that's simple. Okay, what if I did it like all the time, like crazy amounts of it? So it's not just like once in a while, but I really start showing up and all that stuff, right? So so he did that, and then it was like, well, what else do people want? It's like, well, I know if I follow someone, even if they're like Ben Rector, I don't know how many of you guys know who he is? Great, another example of what I'm saying. So Ben Rector is he's really indie, but he's big enough. Like, when I saw him, there was like 1,000 people there watching him. He's from Oklahoma, and he's great. Anyway, so like someone like him, I really like him. So I'd love to like know what he's drinking at Starbucks. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just a fan. So when people take you behind the scenes, even if they're just showing you like stupid stuff, like they're opening mail, you might really want to watch it. Like I would, right? So that's what Kina did. Is she was like, maybe I should just be like, boop, here I am, here's a video, and I'm da-da-da-da. She would tell people where she was, and people started to have a friend in her, right? And then she got everybody involved, and she created her like street team. There was a name for it. I'm just forgetting what it was. Oh, like Key Nerds, because her name is Kina. But there were other names for it. And she created KG Records, Kina Grannis Records, and she started getting her fans involved. She was like, if you like me, would you create a house concert for me? I'll come. And she said to this person, like, if you live in this city, and if you want to get, me to come, then call a promoter in Germany. I'll come. So she got everybody involved. People felt like they could help her, and oh my God, if you saw what she's done, it's like, I mean, she's making millions of dollars, like sitting on her bed. Her last video I watched, she's like sitting on her bed, like totally lo-fi, like with her phone. Like there's no like, and even 10 years later, it's not like she's got like equipment and makeup on. She's just like, what up? Like doing it. And so it's like, for everybody who turns around every day is like, there's nothing happening. It's like, make it happen. It's like, stop being so defeated and get busy. Get busy. You have so much to do. Like, and it's like, don't overthink things. Don't overthink things. Start doing things. Because, yeah, you might do this and realize that is so not for me. But along the way, I realized I could do this. But don't not try, because that's like such a waste of time. So, I mean, you're on the right track. You're getting great feedback. And by the way, I do want to say, though, if you're getting feedback that's negative, then it's really helpful to do it the way you were doing it. Like, you should pause and say, can I learn from this? And should I change something, right? And then you can check in, and if you then get positive, you can say, okay, now that's clarifying. Maybe that they're like off on, maybe they're not quite sure, but maybe I can trust this. But if enough people were to say no, then then yes, try to improve it. You know, it's like, otherwise, who are we? Like, we're so above criticism. It's like, no. And I think you looked at it the right way, and it is hard to know. But I'm always like, if somebody has something negative, then I'm like, I don't hate on it. I'm like, what can I learn from this? Because sometimes there's something really helpful that, like, one subtle thing makes everything else shine brighter. And so I need to grow every second. So it's important to take in constructive feedback, but it is important also to, like, check yourself and try to, you know, look at where the majority of the flow is headed. And so for you, there's a lot of reminders. You're getting a lot of reflection back, like, keep going. So I think your idea of, you know, putting stuff out is great. And I love that you have this, like, 4-month little window to play with some things. And you do have a ton of talent, and that's been confirmed many times. So maybe try what I'm saying. Like, maybe try a Peter Hollins, Kina Grannis situation in the way that you can, even if it's just putting out a song. Maybe try it like you said, but see what else you can do. Like, could you put out a song and every week say your top 10 something? Here's a song in my top favorite snack foods. Here's a song in my top favorite movies. Here's a song in my top, why not? Like, add something of you to it and see where that goes.
Cool. That makes sense. Something I was thinking of doing, like, quicker was I like to do, like, solo improvisations. And so, like, I've been trying to, I have a few recordings that I haven't released yet because I'm kind of a perfectionist on that, but I want to just put that stuff out there. So I think I'm going to start there because that's easier to produce than, like, a track, because I'm still, like, my issue with producing is it took me 16 hours in one weekend to, like, get this one track to,
Yeah, that's a lot.
done being written for it to sound professional. So that's why I'm a little worried about trying to push myself, because I don't want to release crappy music.
Right. So then maybe instead of releasing a song every time, see if you can just, like, connect in other ways with something silly or not music related, but you related. Because at the end of the day, you are what you're selling. You're selling you. So the more you can try to find sweet spots of things that are interesting to you or who you are, and then couple that with your art, you'll find people, you know, because they'll connect with your art and with you. That's all I'm saying.
Great. Cool.
I hate to be a big downer, but it's 12:23 and my daughter is home because she's sick. So I feel like I'm not being a good parent if I stay on this call more than an hour and 25 minutes, but I'll answer one more question. I mean, I don't usually stay on here for 4 hours anyway, so it's appropriate timing, but I also just feel like I need to be a mom. Zion, I saw your hand up, so I'm going to answer your question and then I'm going to hop off.
Oh.
What's up, man?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hey.
Look at you in your studio.
I know, my little home studio with the pads and chaos. Anyway, Cathy, my questions are more kind of general and they can wait. You go take care of your daughter. I'm totally fine.
You're so sweet. I love you. You're always like that.
I love you too.
That is your consistent just generosity. And you show up to be, honestly, like if I had to come up with a word, it would be like generous and then talented. You guys heard Zion's music? Please tell me you have.
You're so kind.
What you've done,
Okay.
it's insane. Like I'm listening to Charlie Puth's new song and I'm like, this is like a Zion song. Like Zion.
Really?
Yeah, between how he sings and the artist that you work with and the melodies and the phrasing, it's like, yeah, totally.
That's awesome.
That's what I thought. Guys, it's Thanksgiving this week. I'm really, really grateful for all of you. I'm grateful that you give me this. You give me so much more than I probably give you. So much purpose, so much of a sense of like, I get to, I don't know, help or feel significant. You make me feel important. So thank you for being you. Thank you for being in my life. I think about it all the time and I'm so grateful. And I hope you guys have an amazing week, whether you're celebrating Thanksgiving or you're not, wherever you are in the world. And I hope you take a minute to remember how much you should be grateful for about yourself. Like the fact that you're here showing up. So many people aren't even here in this conversation. They're miles from here, you know, and you should give yourself a little credit for that, a little credit for having the courage to be here. And like Sam, like where you are, and Steve, where you are, and Zion, since you started, And Carrie, with all those songs, it's like, that's incredible. Like most people, the reason they don't have what they want is because they don't do anything about it, you know? So you're doing a ton, and it can be so frustrating. And I love the conversation we had with Fred, because we all need to be reminded of that. We all need to be reminded to keep going and to, like, our job every day. I heard Oprah say, I went to see her at UCLA. I was at the Super Soul Sunday session thing. And she said, I realized years ago, like, all I have to worry about every day is sort of like aligning my little ship with like the mothership, you know, and like just connect to who I'm supposed to be every day and just do that, and like put my head down and do that. And like everything else will work itself out. Check in with my intuition. Who am I supposed to be? And if these are the two decisions, go with that one. And then I align myself with what I'm supposed to do in this world, and I just trust it's going to work out. And so I hope that you guys will continue to do that, because you were here, you put here for a reason. There is no extra, and we need you to be you. We can't have you be somebody else, because then we miss out on the reason that you're put here. So keep going, and know how much I care about you, and I hope that that goes a long way. But then use each other too, and check in with each other, and give each other lots of love. And I'll see you guys in a few weeks. And in the meantime, keep posting stuff and connect with each other, because Sonnet and I, by the way, we listen, and we're seeing what's going on, and it's impressive and it's wonderful. But take advantage of it more, maybe, and like meet up or tell each other like you want to form like a support, like just to check in, and keep pumping each other full of positivity, because it's not all over the world. And then we can use more of it, and maybe you guys can help somebody in their day and you don't realize, and that can give you purpose. So be each other's cheerleaders, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.